My mother-in-law is so convinced that we love father-in-law more. They're divorced, they hate each other. Long story short, she's refusing us to come over to her house because she's making us choose either father-in-law or mother-in-law, and we're trying to tell her it doesn't matter about the feud that you have with your ex-husband. We, for the grandkids' sake, need to have both grandparents in their lives, and she just can't wrap it around her mind. So we give her one ultimatum. I may have the neediest, most entitled mother-in-law in existence. None of her kids really like her, they just tolerate her for the sake of peace because she has the most childish meltdowns when she doesn't get her way. Even long before we married, my husband Derrick warned me that his relationship with his parents was complicated. I didn't realize just how complicated it was until I saw it all firsthand. For a bit of context, my husband is the middle child of 3. He has an older brother, Jonathan, and a younger sister, Vanessa, and he's still pretty close with, but it wasn't always like this. Derrick's parents got divorced when he was 8. His older brother, Jonathan, was in high school at the time, so he understood more of what was going on. At the time, all Derrick and Vanessa knew was that their mom and dad could not get along very well. So dad was moving out, and Jonathan took it the hardest and wanted to move in with his father. But their mom got full custody, so they could only see him on the weekends. As soon as Jonathan graduated, he moved in with his father. He felt bad leaving Derrick and Vanessa, but he could not stand being around their mom any longer. My husband and his sister were still pretty young, and Jonathan was the oldest by a lot. As they got older, their mother began poisoning their mind and manipulating them into thinking Jonathan did not want to live with them anymore, and that's why he went to their dad's. She made it seem like Jonathan loved their dad and hated them, so she, would tell them that their father did not like having them around. So when he came for them on the weekend, they would not go out with him. It wasn't until Vanessa and Derrick were in high school that they learned the truth. Well, when Jonathan left, their mother took his cell phone, so he had to get a new one and refused to let him talk to Derrick or Vanessa. Their father had even planned a vacation for them all to go to Disney, but canceled it after they said that they didn't want to go over to his house. Their mother had been basically pitting them against each other to make their father seem like a horrible person. Vanessa had wanted to cut their mom off their life completely after that, but they all knew how their mother had such a bad temper. She's super paranoid about her kids not liking her, so to keep the peace, Jonathan made up with her, and they all just told her they wanted a relationship with their dad, which she agreed to but was not very happy about. I mean, forbid they visit their dad and not her. Oh, that was a sin. Anyways, Derrick and I met in college, and when our relationship got serious, we started talking more about family. I noticed that he would not talk about his mom as much as his dad, and I came from a more normal family. We have our bad eggs, but they usually get cut out quickly. So hearing about his mom was strange, but then I got to witness it firsthand. Derrick and I attended university 1 state over from where his family lives. In our senior year, we went to visit his parents, and when we visited home, he stayed with his brother and his sister-in-law because if he stayed with his mom, she would get upset if he went to visit his dad. And if he stayed with his father, she would absolutely throw a fit. When we got there, we got settled, and I got to meet his brother and his wife. You know what? I would say that they're very lovely people. We were supposed to go to his mother's house first, but when we showed up, she wasn't even there. It was still early in the day, so we decided just to swing by his father's house instead. His dad took us out for lunch and showed us around the marina where he worked. We had an absolute great time. When we got back to his brother's house, he told me not to mention a word of what we did to his mother. If she asked, I would say we hung out at Jonathan's place with Vanessa for the whole day. Well, when we went to his mom's house the next day for dinner, she apologized for not being there the day before, saying she had an appointment that she simply forgot about. Then she asked us if we did anything fun, and Derrick fed her the lie that we agreed upon. And she immediately gets mad. She starts screaming, saying that she saw us at the marina with her ex-husband. She said the only reason her kids liked their father more was because he spoiled them. She said Derrick's father was an awful husband. He was brainwashing her boys into thinking that she was crazy, and that's why they were always just lying to her. Then she started recounting stories about their father being lazy or careless and that he was the reason their marriage failed. It was, quote, your father this, your father that, your brother this, your brother that, for like 20 minutes straight. She obviously still harbored some resentment towards Jonathan. The entire dinner was just super uncomfortable and left a bad taste in my mouth. I was tense the entire time, only talking when she or Derrick asked me something. I did not relax until we were halfway back to his brother's house. Derrick apologized profusely for what happened, and he said that his mother will get like this. It's best to just let her go and get it out of her system when they, make it up to her later. So the next day, he went to visit his mom again and his sister, and I hung out with Jonathan and his wife. I told his siblings about what happened, and they just cringed in secondhand embarrassment. Vanessa said that they always assured their mom that they loved their parents equally. And while that's true, they don't like their parents equally. Their mom was not insufferable to be around, but they just tolerated her because she's still their mom. And they did not want to abandon her, which, hey, I understand. Remember, this was my first time meeting her, and it left quite an impression. But it wasn't the first time that she had acted crazy like this. It happened again 3 years later, when Derrick and I got engaged. We wanted everyone to go out to dinner to celebrate, and when his mom got wind of this, she said that she wanted everyone to come to her house for dinner instead. She talked about how she would make everyone their favorite foods. Well, during this time, Derrick and I were only in town for a few days just to tell his family the news. We were both working at the time and could not stay long. We told the mother-in-law about the dinner plans and told her that she was more than welcome to come. She asked if her ex-husband was going, and we told her yes. We wanted the whole family together, and she said that she did not want to be anywhere near her ex-husband, and that it was inconsiderate for us to invite her, knowing that he would be there. So Derrick asked her if she could just do it this one thing for him. She would not have to talk to his dad or anything. It was just a few hours at dinner table together, and they could sit far from each other and establish ground rules and whatever she wanted. Well, she refused, and demanded that we either come over to her house or tell his father that he could not come to the restaurant. Which, by the way, that's just completely unfair. I mean, come on, she put Derrick in a tough situation of a spot, because if he chose to go through with the dinner, she would use it to fuel her conspiracy that her kids hate her. But we went ahead and just had the dinner without her. So, the reason I mention this is because things got so much worse from there, guys, and I mean so much worse. She would constantly call Derrick and his siblings to ask what they were doing or when they would be visiting, and she does these vindictive things and still begs them to consider her their favorite parent. If she would just, act normal, there would be no need to talk about favorites. Fast forward to now, Derrick and I are happily married and have a 6-month-old baby girl. But his mother's shenanigans have not stopped. We haven't been able to visit much because we have a kid now, and I don't know how many people who are reading have kids, but packing a child into the car and driving for 8 hours straight is so stressful. Our daughter is mostly good for an hour or so, but anything more than that and she gets cranky. My mother-in-law has been calling us every day and every other day. She asked if we are coming down to visit soon. In the 6 months since our daughter was born, just about everyone has visited at least once, including her. Well, the only person who hasn't is Jonathan because he has young children too, so yeah, the drive would be pretty brutal. Now, mother-in-law is getting antsy, thinking that we don't visit because we don't want to be around her or we don't want our kids around her, even though Derrick has explained to her multiple times that the drive would be rough with a 6-month-old kid. But she tells us that they used to take long drives all the time when their kids were young, and we just needed to be properly prepared. I think she's been getting into Derrick's head because he asked me if we should just suck it up and make a trip down to visit her, to calm her down for a while. I don't, want to be anywhere near this woman. She's been a thorn in my side for as long as I can remember, and I just want to be done with her. However, at the same time, I don't want to be the person who decides what my husband's relationship with his mother should be. I just want to be lumped into her foolishness no more. I don't think Derrick is ready to cut her off completely just yet. I also don't think visiting her will get out of her system. I mean, guys, what should we even do here? Updates number 1. Hey, so it seems a lot of you have very strong feelings about my mother-in-law. I know you guys just want to cut her off, but that's Derrick's mom, so I feel like it should be up to him. If he just cuts off my mom, I'd probably feel bad about it. He's alone here, and I don't want to isolate him from any family that he has back home. And to the end, we had a long talk about what we were going to do. So we decided to make a visit. Now, before all you get mad, let me explain, this isn't only to calm his mom down. His dad's birthday is coming up, and, well, they're planning a party for him. Of course, he wasn't expecting us to come, but we believed it would be a nice surprise for him because he hasn't seen our daughter since she was a month old. Of course, my mother-in-law won't like this at all. But we planned to stay with her instead of Jonathan so that she would not pitch a fit. So we packed enough stuff to stay for 4 days and left super early in the morning. So our daughter would hopefully sleep through most of the ride. Well, things were going smooth at first. We made it halfway when we ran into some serious traffic. There was an accident on the highway and our daughter was asleep at the time but woke up after about half an hour. She was fine at first but got cranky shortly after, and I had to take her out of the car seat and play with her so she'd stay calm. We ended up stuck there for over 2 hours, and Derrick had to call his mom to tell her that we'd be late. When the highway finally cleared, I had to strap her back into her seat, and she was not very happy. We still had about 4 hours of driving to do, and nothing I could do would calm her down. She just did not want to be in the car seat anymore, but there was really nothing that we could do about it. So we just had to tolerate the screaming until we got there. My mother-in-law promised lunch, but after 10 hours in the car and our daughter screaming, we were starving. We were tired. So we stopped at Five Guys, and my husband grabbed some food while I walked our daughter around to calm her down. Luckily, it was just a short drive to my mother-in-law's house, so when we pulled up, we met her outside, and I took our daughter out because she was already being fussy again. Derrick tossed out the garbage, and when mother-in-law noticed the fast food bag, she gets angry. She said that we obviously didn't want to spend time with her because we went and got food instead of coming straight there. Well, Derrick tried to explain to her that we've barely gotten any sleep and have been on the road for a super long time. We just wanted something quick and a stressful drive was going on. She wasn't hearing it, guys. She marched into our room and locked the door, refusing to even let us inside the house, basically leaving us stranded. We tried contacting Jonathan and his wife, but they were at work, so we probably would not be able to get into the house anyways. Also, his brother lived about an hour away, and there was no way I was spending another hour in the car with a cranky baby. As a last resort, we called his father, who was more than welcome for us to stay over, though the surprise was absolutely ruined now. So, guys, that's where we're at. I'm already regretting coming here. I mean, hopefully, mother-in-law will be in a better mood tomorrow. Otherwise, I guess we'll be going to Jonathan's. Update number 2. Well, mother-in-law showed up at the father-in-law's house this morning and she was not in a better mood. Apparently, she felt as though we betrayed her by going to the father-in-law's house instead of finding a hotel or an Airbnb or something. But the thing is, she's the one who left us stranded in the first place. She started arguing with Derrick, asking him if he really came here to spend time with her or if it was just nothing more than a lie. He turned the tables on her and said it was. She was the one who didn't want to spend time with us, and he was screaming at the top of his lungs, telling her how tired they were after the long drive and the baby was so cranky, and all we wanted to do was get some rest, and she shut the door in our faces. If she really wanted to spend time with us, she would have been way more understanding and let us in, but she cared more about her stupid lunch than her own family. My mother-in-law stood there quiet. I'd never heard Derrick scream at anyone like that, not even in our worst fights, and I guess she hadn't either. He topped off his yelling with, "Do you want us to spend time with you or not? Otherwise, we would be staying at Jonathan's for the rest of our trip and you would not be seeing us again." Obviously, the idea of us never coming to visit again scared her, and she calmed down, saying she was just upset about being able to not have lunch with us. She said she'd already prepped the spare room for us and made a small play area for our daughter, and if I'm being honest, I didn't want to go, but Derrick assured me that it would be fine. It was just for a little while, and he would keep his mom in check if she started getting hostile again. I agreed, and we went out there, got settled into the spare room, and put my daughter down for a nap. My mother-in-law came in and asked if she could spend time with the baby. I told her no, because she had just gone down for a nap, but she would be up in a few hours and plenty of energy to play. She said missing one nap would not hurt. She wanted to take the baby out into the garden, and I told her no again, because our daughter gets cranky when she doesn't have her naps. Well, she gets upset and tells Derrick I just didn't want her to spend time with the baby. Derrick came in and told me to be gentler with my words, and if I'm being honest, I almost lost it on him. I only didn't yell at him right then and there because I didn't believe in fighting in front of friends and relatives, but the next time that we were alone, guys, I laid into him. I told him if he wanted me to walk on eggshells around his mother, that's his priority for him to do it. But this was meant to be a vacation, and I wanted to relax. He apologized and said he was just trying to keep the peace. Thankfully, we only have 2 more days here, and I can't wait to be home again. Update number 3. Hey, we're back at my father-in-law's house, so we spent yesterday and the day before at my mother-in-law's place. We literally only went out once for groceries, and the whole time she was in our faces asking us a bunch of questions about life back home. I was patient with her for Derrick's sake, but she got to spend a bunch of time with us and the baby. Yesterday, we told her we had not seen Jonathan or Vanessa during our trip, and that we wanted to spend some time with them. She didn't seem happy about it, but Derrick reminded her that Jonathan had never seen our daughter in person, and that he would feel bad if he had just left without him getting to meet her. So we told her Jonathan would be picking us up last night, and we'd be going out, and we didn't really specify where. So Jonathan picked us up, and we all went to my father-in-law's birthday party. We didn't plan to stay the whole time because of the baby. Thankfully, there were not really a ton of people, including some family and some of my father-in-law's coworkers. So I got to meet some of Derrick's cousins who could not make it to our wedding. We were having such a good time until my mother-in-law shows up. She crashed the party uninvited and had the biggest meltdown you'd ever seen. She starts yelling at all her kids, all her kids' partners and anyone who intervened. She called us traitors and told us never to step foot near her house again, and she threatened to call the cops on her father-in-law because he was playing loud music and had alcohol at the party. With children present. Yeah, last time I checked, that's not illegal. The kids had their own little section where they could go off and play, eat, even nap if they wanted. And it was nowhere near the minimal amount of alcohol that was present. The father-in-law told the mother-in-law that she had better leave his property or he was going to call the cops and tell them that she's trespassing. She looked at her kids and asked if they were just going to stand there and let their father talk to her this way. They told her that she was being completely unreasonable, causing a scene and embarrassing both herself and them in front of everyone. It was their father's birthday, and of course, they'd want to spend time with him on his birthday. It was not fair for her to just show up there and try to ruin his special day with their disgusting behavior. She called them all traitors again and stomped away from the party like a toddler who did not get their way. Derrick and I stayed for an hour, and then Jonathan wanted to leave, and he was our ride. When we got back to our mother-in-law's house, she refused to open the door for us, once again leaving us stranded. All we were able to do was get out of our car, and guys, we decided to go back to father-in-law's house to give her some time to cool off. We put our daughter to bed and helped our father-in-law clean up after the party, and guys, Derrick is mad. We were going to mother-in-law's house tomorrow to try to get our stuff because we were supposed to leave the following day. I'll let you know how that goes. Update number 4. We still don't have our stuff. When we went to our mother-in-law's house that morning, she refused to open it up. All of our luggage, including necessities for our baby, her food, her snacks, her favorite toys, her diapers. I don't even care about my stuff, just give me my darn daughter's stuff. But no! She told us to get away from her house before she calls the authorities. Thankfully, my father-in-law was super helpful. He asked us to make a list of the things that we needed. So we went to the store and just bought all of the necessities. Yeah, in case we weren't able to get our stuff back. My daughter loves all the new toys that he got for her, so she seems content, but I can't and will never get over how childish and petty my mother-in-law has actually been. Derrick spoke to Jonathan and Vanessa, and they were appalled by her behavior. They came over at the end of their respective workdays and told Derrick to get dressed, because we were all going out to mother-in-law's house to get our stuff. We all packed into Jonathan's car and rode over there. When Jonathan went up to the door, his mother opened it up, thinking it was only him, and the look on her face was priceless. Jonathan told her that she needed to let Derrick and me in the house to get our stuff. She tried to process it, but Vanessa raised her hand and told her mom to stop acting so childish. There were things needed for our baby in there, and her denying our access to them was plumb evil. She finally gave up and let us in. Well, we packed all of our things quickly, and when we got everything in the car, Jonathan told his mother that they were done with her. They've been able to tolerate her tantrums before, but this is too far. He reminded her that she agreed that they could build a relationship with their father, and she was trying to sabotage it at every single turn. Even though they were now adults with their own lives, their father never spoke one bad word about her, and in fact, he was the one who encouraged Jonathan to make up with her because she was paranoid about people not liking her. Jonathan told her not to contact them in any way going forward unless it was to apologize and change her behavior. She was incredibly stressed out, and that was why she did not want to spend time with them. It had nothing to do with her father, and she would not hear from any of them again. She begged us to wait, to please let her explain, and tried to give us that small little half apology that she always would. But we got in our car, and we left. I'm happy to see them finally telling their mother off for her awful behavior, and I just hope they don't start feeling sorry for her and change their mind. Final update. Hey guys, so it's been 5 months now, and I'm happy to report Derrick and his siblings are still not talking to their mom. For the first 2 months, she would call the house, and I mean nonstop. Derrick and I had to actually block the number. Yeah, it was bad. But then she tried using other people's phones, and she started giving us half apologies, still blaming her ex-husband for the way that she acted. Then she escalated into getting angry and threatening us, and we would just hang up on her. Needless to say, our lives are much calmer without her. We don't get tense anymore when the phone rings. We don't have to worry about sparing his mother's feelings. Derrick's relationship with his siblings has gotten so much better, and they didn't realize how much of their conversation centered around their own mother, and how much their bonding was based purely on how stressed she made them feel until she wasn't in the picture anymore. Well, the father-in-law is not really thrilled about it. That we collectively abandoned mother-in-law, but he understood that we were all tired of her behavior. He just thought going low contact would have been better than no contact. Let me know what you would have done.